So how do you prune and position those willows and dogwoods that we grow for their winter stem colour to maximum effect? So let's start with willows. Now these need to be taken right back to the stump in early March every year. Now you can coppice them right to the ground, but personally I always think willows look more characterful if they're pollarded like this on a bit of a short stem. They tend to, the ones with the coloured stems for winter tend to be natural variations of a native willow, Salix alba var vitellina. And what they really want to be is a great big tree. So you need to curb that by pruning them each year. A, so they don't get too big and suck all the water out of your garden, but also it's only the young stems that have the colour. Now you need fairly robust choppers for this job. Or if you've got a friend who's competent with a chainsaw, that can make this job really easy. But don't waste the stems that come off, because you can use those for woven willow sculptures in the garden. And I quite often use them for brightening up the woven willow fence behind my spring border. But just a word of warning, if you're going to push them in the ground to make your woven willow sculpture, they're quite likely to root. So you'll give yourself yet another job next spring to keep that sculpture pruned back. Now, willows are best positioned in an open sunny site where they can actually get their feet into a bit of damp ground, or even better, a stream like this. Just check that your willow is one of the willows that's recommended for winter coloured stems, because there are other reasons to grow willows. They're catkins, or they're beautiful weeping or contorted stems, and they might need a different pruning regime. So moving on to dogwoods. Now dogwoods are all members of the genus Cornus. And in fact, some of our favourite winter-stemmed dogwoods are cultivars of just our native dogwood, the Cornus sanguinea, like this particularly good one, Annie's Winter Orange. And again, it's the young stems that have the colour, so you're back to your annual pruning about the beginning of March. And I think that dogwoods are better pruned stooled right to the ground like this, because their trunks are not as attractive as the willows. And actually, I think they look better at this low ground level, matching against spring bulbs and other little sort of evergreens in the spring garden. Now the stems you cut off are not quite as long and pliable as the willows, but I still do use them, and they can be particularly effective to pop into some decorative pots at Christmas time, where that lovely colour shines out amongst all the evergreen foliage that you'd have. A really good way to bring out their good colour is to position them like this, where they catch the low winter sun, but that is against something like an evergreen background, or, you know, here's a stone mushroom or a nice buff coloured grass. So to give them a little bit of a backdrop to bring the colour out. Now this is another very popular Cornus that people grow for its winter colour. It's Cornus sanguinea midwinter fire. But this I find actually can't take a hard annual prune. It weakens the plant too much. So for this one, I actually only prune it every second or third spring. Now, although I've said that generally dogwoods are best pruned hard to the ground, this one I do pollard, but that's only because I want to be able to see the lovely new growth when it comes through from my kitchen window. So it's just a question of kind of positioning the height. I've also made sure that when I look at it from the kitchen, it is against that lovely evergreen backdrop that I've spoken before. Again, just check that your Cornus is one that's recommended to be hard pruned like this to produce those young stems for lovely winter colour. Now, I hope I've managed to convince you that hard pruning your willows and dogwoods can give you a really spectacular result in the garden.